Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham L. Jaguar. This channel is proudly sponsored by the following publishers, starting with Dead Tree Studios, publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop role-playing game where you play as monster girls experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have also released the Pay What You Want tabletop RPG, Daughters of Lamb, where you get to play as cybernetic nuns with guns, looking for the missing pieces of their AI god. Next we have the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products, and check out the recent release of the Red Alerts zine, which contains articles, scenarios, campaign setting ideas, and many other things for the Red role-playing games or any other tabletop RPG. All of the links to these amazing publishers will be in the description and in the pinned comment as well. This time, I am going to talk about a very interesting match which showcases how good vibes, actual good vibes, can triumph over Toxicity. Toxicity on both teams. As you can see, we won. But there are some nuances to this victory. And this is not like the false good vibes in the case like in the Kingsman incident, right? You know how those bitches were trying to destroy Kingsman's reputation and all of that for the sake of good vibes. But no, they are the perfect example of bad vibes, right? But here, there was a very unusual situation. Which also makes me think of the EOMM. Because it all starts with DPS that do not want to play healers. Although they were not exactly the toxic example in our team. And look, a victory with only 5 people against 6 because one of us was a fucking thrower. But despite that, with the power of friendship, right, we managed to succeed. Let's take a look. So here we're selecting our characters. Right away. Um, you can see here, this is the toxic guy. Blood TC. Blood, right? For that extra edginess. I'm Blood Tepes. Blood Dracul. And choosing Cyclops, right? Because you know how they fall into certain stereotypes. And I love playing Cyclops, but he's a new character, so you can see that this guy is all about the kills to get the MVP. But here we have Quad Father. Quad Father. I wonder if that means that he's a father of 4. Could be. Because we both picked the thing, and there is no shortage to toxic thing players. Maybe it's because they have a very fragile heart that they think that the rocky exterior is going to protect their fragile soul or their lack of soul, perhaps. But Quad Father, he was actually very reasonable. When he saw me picking the thing, he said, "The thing is such a great character, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So he immediately swapped to Dino. And why did he swap to Dino? Because I'm a champion thing, and he was a Lord thing. Champion means that you know all the ins and outs. Now, I was very grateful that he chose Dino, because you know that Dino is one of the best tanks in the game. Some people call him the best tank. But at the same time, I was worried because when you have healers, it is quite customary for the healers to focus on healing Dino and ignoring the other tank when they are inexperienced healers or not as skilled healers, because it is easier to heal Dino. He's so big and particularly slow. Apart from his jump, he is very slow and big, so he's very easy to heal. Now, here I start to get a bit worried because, as you can see, everybody has chosen DPS, one tank, and Joe Mama, we don't know if he's going to play healer or not. So I'm like, well, let's wait. We haven't banned anyone, right? And here the ban phase begins. Listen to this amazing tip. I wonder if my face is getting in the way. Let me verify. Maybe my make myself smaller. Hmm. Or just move myself out of the way just to showcase the bands, right? Okay, I highly recommend that you always ban Punisher unless you have a champion Punisher on your team, or or at least a Lord, but it's still a risk. I've played with Lord Punishers that are absolute crap. They are dog shit. They cannot do anything. It almost looks like they are doing those. Hey, today I'm doing the no shotgun challenge, so I'm only using machine gun. Or but Punisher, a good Punisher, he will wreck the tanks. And I also play Punisher, so I know up close a Punisher with the shotgun, deadly. Against flyers, the machine gun, deadly. Holding ground, the turret, deadly. Like the Punisher, if there is an OP character in the game, it's the Punisher. They criticize so many others, but the Punisher is good against so many situations, so many enemies, different types of characters. Only certain characters like Spider-Man, like our Spider-Man, they have an edge against Punisher, unless he is on turret. But still, there is always a way, right? So ban Punisher. That should be one of your priorities. But here I was worried because nobody was banning Punisher. They wanted to ban Imbis or White Fox. Mostly, well, White Fox is incredible, right? But still, I don't mind if they play White Fox as long as you ban other characters. Being Invisible Woman, she's also really good, but it's mostly her ult. Her ult is so OP, right? So I'm getting a bit worried here because I say, wait a minute, why are they banning the healers first? And they ban Cyclops. Cyclops is very powerful right now. So I'm like, I need to ban Punisher. And then Joe Mama bans Groot. Okay, Groot is a good consideration in convoy type of missions. But Punisher should be priority. White Fox. Desperate to ban White Fox. And White Fox is banned. They are being very moronic in their bans. Because you have Dino and the Thing. The Punisher can eat away at Dino's shield. And with the shotgun, completely annihilate the Thing and Dino. In order to survive an enemy Punisher, you need skilled healers and skilled DPS. Skilled healers to keep the tanks alive when the Punisher unleashes the punishment. And the skilled DPS to kill the Punisher as fast as possible. So yeah, the situation looks very dire, right? And I'm like, we need to ban Punisher now! And finally they see reason. Finally. And because of their stupid bans, instead of banning Moon Knight, and you will see that they have a Lord Moon Knight against a Dino and the Thing. Huge tanks that can easily bounce off the attacks from Moon Knight, and those attacks, of course, when I mean bounce off, they're going to bounce off directly into our allies, into our healers, into our DPS characters. So instead of banning the healers, they should have banned Moon Knight as well. I want to ban Moon Knight and Punisher, but since they messed it up and now we can only ban either Punisher or Moon Knight, I prefer Punisher because at least Moon Knight, as long as you attack him up close, he is considerably easy to defeat. But Punisher up close, the shotgun, no. So now we have banned the characters that we needed to ban, and we still don't have healers, right? So here, I say, Does any of you know how to heal? If not, I can heal, right? Because you know that these guys are not picking healers because they are not skilled healers. And then the blood guy over here, the one that wanted to play as Cyclops. This is the toxic guy. And on the part of the enemy team, the toxic guy is Dingle Bowie. Name is very mature, right? Very high IQ. Dingle Bowie. I don't know if it's a he, she, they, or whatever, but you can see that each team has a toxic element. And why is it blood the toxic element? I will tell you why in a few moments. Okay, so I say that if you can't heal, I can heal because I'm also an excellent healer. And then Blood says, "What? That is a stupid idea. It should be one of the dumbass DPS that should heal. How about you, Blood? Right? Instead of being a team player and saying, hey, DPS, does any of you know how to heal? If not, I can heal, right? But I'm guessing that Blood doesn't know how to heal. And that's why he, in order to protect his fragile ego, he goes and attacks our DPS. Because I was giving them the choice, right? If you can't heal, I can heal. So
Right heroes could make all the difference.
everybody chooses a character, but Blade realizes that we're going to get wrecked. And in the enemy team, they finally get Adam Warlock to heal, but you will see how things develop. Quadfather chooses the tank because, yeah, nobody else is going to tank. They haven't chosen a tank as their desired character for the match. This is a problem. You're going to have these DPS only players. They don't tank, they don't heal. Why the fuck are they playing a team based game where they can ban characters if they cannot play any other role? To play Marvel Rivals, you need to know how to tank, how to heal, and how to DPS. I don't care if you are not as skilled, you need to do your best at learning the roles. Because otherwise, imagine that you get into a lobby with only DPS players, right? Let me check my face cam to see if everything is yeah, I can move myself up here. So just imagine that you get into a lobby with only DPS players. Some people say, well, to solve that, you need to do the role QE. Again, a lot of people only play DPS. If you do the role QE, it's going to take who knows how long to get a match going because you're going to have like who knows how many hundreds, thousands of players queuing for DPS. No, you just need to learn how to tank, how to DPS, and how to heal. As simple as that, everybody can do it. So here, and if you don't know how to do any of those, check out my guides in the description of this video. In the pinned comment, I tell you how to heal, how to tank, and how to DPS, and the core strategy for Marvel Rivals. Okay, with examples, by the way. Blade and Joe Mama decide to play healers. Let me hide this a bit. And so it begins. The Optimus, I would say, is the more skilled DPS because you will see what happens with the fucker known as Blood. And these NPCs, right? Those of you that have investigated the Epstein files, you know that the science fiction YouTube, you have to say it because YouTube doesn't like it when you talk about these things. Have you ever wondered why there are so many dumbasses, as the Blood said, like the dumb, stupid people in the world? And literal NPCs is because they actually are NPCs. They are, some of them, science fiction YouTube, science fiction, Epstein files, science fiction. Most of them are either clones or descendants of clones. The evidence is right there in the Epstein files, and people still won't believe this. They have been programmed by Hollywood not to believe this. It's not fiction. You think it's fiction because you saw it in films. It is not fiction. So, yeah, the world is plagued with low IQ, lowbrow, low intelligence. So, and blood is one of them. You will see why.
Kid, it is finally happening!
We are taking position at the
Or,
gates.
I could just leave that
Some
for you,
groups
Careless.
like to take
Just
position
so he can
further in, closer to the spawn, but the risk with that is that if you get
The
destroyed in
battle
that
starts in
position,
5.
which is not easy to defend because you have so many ways to so many entries to defend. You have the left, the right, and the center. But here at the gate, you only need to protect the center. So it's risky to defend further up.
4,
We are
3,
waiting here.
2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
I know that Dino is going to need all my support
This looks like a game for the
because
Guardians of the
the dinos,
Galaxy.
they are there to take as much damage as possible. So I give him a little boost. I do the Jancy Street Charge, do as much damage as I can before taking cover to get healed. Dino is there wrecking, you see? Really good Dino. This is a really good Dino. Uh, but here I'm a bit worried because Dino is pushing a bit too much. So I go and do the Jancy charge to protect him. I keep on doing my best to keep him boosted with my jumps, with the thing jumps. But sometimes I cannot reach him. He's too far away. Here I notice that the enemy is playing a bit more aggressive. So I try to get as many of them as I can with the Jansen Street Charge, but I notice that because of the inexperience of the healers, they are not healing me as much. They're having trouble deciding if they want to heal Dino or me. And I identify these moments, right? That, oh no, something is about to go sour pretty soon. They do the ult. I try to hit as much. Luckily, Rocket also ults. Moon Knight, in my opinion, their Moon Knight is a perfect example of why you want to ban Moon Knight and Punisher. Not because the Moon Knight is a great threat to us. I would say their Moon Knight is very unskilled. But because it could be on your team, right? You could have a Lord Moon Knight in your team, and the enemy team has an actual Lord Moon Knight that is very skilled, or even a champion Moon Knight. He's going to destroy you. So I would highly, highly recommend always banning Punisher and Moon Knight. You never know. There are some counters to this, right? For example, Moon Knight is countered to a certain degree with Doctor Strange and his big shield. But Punisher, yeah, Punisher is so good in all situations. Okay, let's continue. But in their case, their Moon Knight is not playing well. He did the ult in a very awkward position. He should have waited, perhaps gotten to the upper platform and jumped from there to do the ult in the gate itself. The gate itself, because that's where we are taking position. Scarlet is also dangerous, but Spidey luckily is very experienced at webbing Scarlet. But take a look at the stats. Spidey seems to be failing, right? Look, he's ace, but for Spidey, only 3 kills, 3 final hits, of course, but you would expect more. So the Blood guy looks a bit more skilled when it comes to being a DPS. I would say that perhaps he's a DPS only player. We continue. Spidey being a skilled player, he also notices this, like he's not getting as much kills as he should. Mostly because of Wanda, right? Now here, attempt to push Moon Knight as far away as possible. Go back for the kills, because Moon Knight can wreck us by using Dino as a bouncing off point. And here things get very difficult, because their Cloak and Dagger did the ults. And our dagger our Cloak and Dagger, is not very experienced. So here she makes a mistake. She goes Cloak when she should have stayed as Dagger to heal us. The whole kit of Cloak and Dagger, you need to be 50-50. You heal sometimes, and sometimes you go Cloak to blind the enemy, to protect your allies by shrouding them in darkness, or even going DPS, especially when you get dived. But here, Dagger should have stayed Dagger. You will see. Because if she had stayed Dagger, she's Cloak. Right now she's Cloak. She could have healed us. But she died instead. I think she got scared because of magic. Magic went pretty deep in. So she thought, oh no, magic is diving me. So she went Cloak immediately. But I was there with Dino. She should have trusted us. Especially the Thing. The Thing is a counter for Black Panther. Mostly because of the Yancy Street charge. But as a thing, as a champion thing, I have seen many times how I have stopped magic when she dives. Because she gets knocked away, bumped by the thing running around. So yeah, this was an error on the part of Dagger. It's obvious that Joe Mama is a bit more experienced as a healer. Remember, they are full DPS. They are most like DPS mates. So that's why they are not very skilled as healers. We continue.
Nobody can hurt us now.
Fight right now.
Only 60 seconds left.
Trying to recover the zone. But here, the healers are delaying a bit in getting closer. So I just rush in before they take over the zone completely and try to keep them off the zone, but the healers are staying too far behind. And here the healers make another mistake. Dino and I are here. One is thankfully stopped by Spidey. I like it how I managed to kill Moon Knight. Moon Knight, I neutralized him throughout the entire match. But the healers, they get scared again by the dives. By magic doing the ult. When they dive you, run towards the tanks. Do not run towards the spawn. Run towards your tanks so that they can protect you. But they fled. They hid in the caves. Dino and I were left without protection and healing. And now we get killed.
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
Yeah. And look at both I mean, at the very least, now they needed to move towards us, towards the tanks. The divers, and as an experienced diver myself, you know, I have taken a dive as Venom, as Wolverine. I have a good video analyzing my Wolverine play, by the way, in the playlist and the description of this video, pinned comment. But I know that the thing that you want to look at when you are a diver is an isolated healer. And the healers that flee towards the spawn instead of closer to their tanks are getting more and more isolated. So as a diver, you're like, delicious, yum yum. So we continue. We have to stop that vehicle. As Galacta would say it, right? But here the healers, again, they need to be on point. Why did they stay behind? As Rocket, as Luna, your heals are shots. They are ranged attacks, so to speak. So what they needed to do was to descend, because they were far away. Descend and heal from this distance. This very position that you are looking at, this arc. They could have sent heals my way from this very position, but they were not. They were. Maybe they thought, oh, they are taking position on the bridge. And then they, oh, no. The thing at risk is the vehicle. So you need to be at the level of the vehicle. Okay. But luckily, Rocket Raccoon had set up the resurrection thing. I forget the name. And we got revived, but the healer's off position again. And Dino is at risk. I'm taking the health pickup because... finally. Rocket ults, like I said, it's obvious that Rocket is the more experienced healer from the two of them. I take my shot at Wanda. That Wanda is dangerous. Especially here, as you can see, Spidey has given up being Spidey and he's swapped to Iron Man. A risky proposition. Because they have Wanda, which is anti-air. But I imagine that Optimus is experienced enough flying as fast as possible to escape Wanda when needed. Very curious choice to go Iron Man. I think a better choice could have been Namor. Even though they don't have Spidey or Namor against Wanda, Wanda is so fragile. I have killed so many Wandas by placing the squids in the right positions. She is flying around, teleporting, you know how she is. But the squid is there, and when she goes out of the teleport, oof, the squid starts to attack her. Wanda could have helped. Wanda, I mean, Namor. We didn't ban Namor, right? No, we did not. There are various choices, but yeah, very weird choice, Iron Man. But he did pull his weight. Magic again failing, and here it is revealed to you probably that Magic is a less skilled player. And now they are operating with a single healer. How can this be? Let me show you. Take a look at the upper part of the screen. On the right, they only have one healer. Cloak and Dagger. Magic should have switched to a healer, and she is not doing it. Luckily, we have two healers. All right. There we go. I start running around the vehicle, trying to paralyze the advance, to stop them as soon as possible. The healers got... had to hide because of the Squirrel Girl ult. In that case, both Optimus and Blood should have targeted the swarm. I hope they did as fast as they could. I keep on tackling because I know this vehicle must be stopped. Finally, Luna ults. And here's the big error. We were doing great. But, yeah, Magic tries to do her thing, right? But she's not very skilled. I used my ult to push them away. I knew that perhaps I wasn't going to be able to hit them, but we only needed 30 seconds to stop them in their tracks. Here's the error. Rocket, the placement of his ult. Moon Knight finally gets a good ult. Dino. That's another error, Dino. He pushed so much into the enemy spawn. What is he doing over there? Look, we're over here. He dies, of course. Concentrated firepower. That's what you need to bring down Dino. But here, Rocket, I'm waiting for the... If I remember correctly, right? He did something here that I thought, no. Okay, destroying Scarlet. Great work by Iron Man. Here, Rocket started to pull back so much. Luna as well, right? But I'm tackling. Should have taken the health pickup in the cave. That was my error. But I was counting on the healers to be here at the front. But they pulled back so much. Look, and he placed the amplifier so far away. It's so far away, and this gave the healers the illusion that I was being healed by the amplifier. I was not. So I started to push. I'm not even near the enemy spawn zone. I'm here in the vehicle, and I was not getting healed. Look!
Us against the world.
big error on the part of the healers, and Rocket got destroyed. Luna was not healing. Okay, no problem. We can still do it. These healers have proven that despite their lack of experience as healers, they have been doing the work. I move here because the bridge, the vehicle is about to enter the bridge, so it's better to take it, to stop the vehicle in this section. Counting on the healers to heal me. I take the help, but my team was not pressing the enemy team enough, so they had all the time in the world to gang up on me. This is the point. This is where you need to be. And they were pulling back so much.
There's still a chance to stop them.
But we can still salvage the situation. I go back as quickly as possible. The resurrection pod is so far away. Why do you put it next to the spawn area? You need to put it closer, Rocket. Closer to the bridge. So I charge because Magic is doing the ult. But I'm here on Magic. I am determined to stop Magic at all cost. Doing the Jancy street charge, getting on Magic's way so that she cannot return, and I go towards Magic and kill her. Jancy street charge. I notice the Moon Knight is so wounded, but I cannot follow him. He does the fucking ult, right? And here, thanks to Rocket's good placement, actual good placement of the amplifier, plus Luna doing the ult, we stop the vehicle at only 1 point. Remember, for those of you unfamiliar with Marvel Rivals, you need 3 points to win the round. They did not win the round. But something very interesting happens, and here's the Toxicity. Blood. Fucking blood, guy. When Spider-Man swapped to Iron Man, he was like, bro. And when Devil Dino, he moved too close to the spawn area, bro. The brain rot generation of today, they worry me so much because they are turning into cavemen. They always like bit, bet, bro, bit, bread, like what the bro, the bit, bet, If the nefarious plans of the evil elite of the world continues in a decade or so, we're going to be like, ah, ah. So he at this point we were all celebrating. We were like, yeah, like we good job, not bad. And this guy, this was terrible. 1 point, stopping them at 1 point with inexperienced healers. For him, that is terrible. And you know what he does? He rage quits. He disconnects. He throws.
To win this one.
He throws. These NPCs always have the same fucking voice. You know what they sound like? They sound like a teenager that has just attained a bit more of a graver. Is that how you call it in English? Deeper voice, grave voice. But it's still very nerdy, right? Sounds like an angry nerd, like NPCs, like I said, clones or children of clones. Same fucking type of individual. So here we stay the same with the exception of Optimus, who decides to go back to Spidey for some reason. Maybe he realized that they only had one healer, so he said, now it's safe. He wants Star-Lord. He will swap to Spidey in a few moments. But blood? What the fuck? He disconnected. He rage quits. Imagine rage quitting in a convoy mission when you manage to stop the enemy. When you manage to stop the enemy at 1 point, with inexperienced healers. That is very good. That is an accomplishment, an achievement on its own. And he quits.
30 seconds before you.
Now here we started to see in the general chat that the enemy team was having problems on their own with the magic. You saw that magic was not very skilled. Dingleberry. Dingleberry, the name, right? Sounds like a wokester, like, oh, Dingleberry, I need my safe space. They start to tell Magic to go heal. She is the lowest. Let's take a look. Magic. 9 kills. 9 kills as Magic. And she's not going healer. The Squirrel Girl tried to heal, but I imagine that he or she or whatever noticed that Magic was failing, so she lost the patience, went to Squirrel Girl, and she says much better DPS when compared to healer. But her healing was crap. Look, 665. So it's another DPS child. I only play DPS. I don't play healer or tank, only DPS. But Dingleberry, she needed to go heals.
Attack. Get ready.
Despite having a disconnection, a quitter, a thrower, we knew that we were working well together and we were on friendly terms, which is more important. From the very start, Quadfather was like, hey, do you want the thing? You can use the thing. You're a champion thing, right? And everybody was working together. The DPS guys went to heals. So the blood really messed it up because, as you will see, the power of friendship can overcome these types of odds. Not all odds, but these types of odds. Because I have been in super toxic teams where we have dominated and everybody was fighting each other. One time we had all DPS, just me as a tank and a single healer. But because all of the DPS guys were exceptionally skilled, even though they were fighting the entire match, they were fighting in the most horrible toxic way that you can imagine. Like they didn't hold back when it comes to anything that you can think of in terms of insults. Lucky enough, I wasn't part of the dispute. I don't know why they were so upset, but we won. We won despite having just one healer and all DPS. But that's an example of Toxicity winning despite the no power of friendship because their skill was exceptional. But here we have the power of friendship with decent healers. I've seen worse healers. Much worse healers. I've seen fucking the other day. This fucker. It was a Cloak and Dagger. She was the champion Cloak and Dagger. Always running away. Never swapping on time between Cloak. When Cloak was needed, she was Dagger. When Dagger was needed, she was Cloak. And she was always running away. And very negative attitude. And it was a girl. I told her, hey, get closer to our tanks so that we can protect you because every time you run to spawn, the divers destroy you. And she's like, I'm getting killed on the front line. No, thanks. Yeah.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Here I'm a bit nervous because I am like, no way. No way, this fucking thrower is going to make us lose the game. We only have 5 people and they have 6. What are we going to do? But I march forward. Trusting the power of friendship. The good vibes, the actual good vibes. I try to make the tank as vulnerable as possible and immediately go back to support Dino. After the enemy tank was weakened due to my jump, I stay close to Dino to keep him as protected as possible with my jumps, charging and looking for signs of Moon Knight and Wanda. Their Wanda was fairly decent. I would say that she would have wrecked us if not for our Spidey. You see now he's Spidey? This is really good. This is really good. This is really good. As a Moon Knight, big mistake. This is not a good Moon Knight. As Moon Knight, you don't want to be in a tunnel. You think you are safe in the tunnel because you can throw your rank, but not against a thing. It's much better as a Moon Knight, depending on the situation, either being at ground level away from the threats so you can shoot your anks and boomerangs from a safe distance, or you need to be up high. Imagine this scenario right here. If the Moon Knight was not down there in the caverns, but up there in the like balcony type of area above them, it would have been a much harder for me to reach him. But because he's in the caves, take a look. Never get into a cave with the thing, or he's going to do this. So now Moon Knight is no longer able to help his team because he is severely injured. Tries to return, gets it back into the cave again. Moon Knight, you don't learn shit. You don't learn, Moon Knight. Here, error of the healers. They didn't go into the cave with me. They just needed one to stay there, in the zone. But like I said, inexperienced healers. If you are a brave tank and you take the risks to... And like I said, it was not me like Dino going into the spawn area, right, that you saw before. But if you are trying to take those risks for greater value and you don't have skilled healers, prepare to get severely damaged or even die because of it. I see Magic hiding. Not a good hiding spot again. Why do they get into caves with the thing? Rock Monster is very strong inside of the caves. Here we are just guiding the vehicle. I'm taking cover behind the vehicle because I know that the healers are not healing me too much. Go towards Wanda and Squirrel Girl. Going back immediately to the vehicle because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to distract us. No heals. Rocket was off position. And Luna as well.
Ready to keep on rocking. Go.
Rocket keeps putting the resurrection pod near the spawn point for some reason. You want to place it in a hidden nook or cranny that is considerably far away from the enemies, but not too far from the zone or the vehicle. Healing Moon Knight. Healing... Who did I kill? I didn't even notice with how fast it happened. What? Let me check it. Healing Moon Knight. Ah, yeah. Cloak and Dagger. Magic again, messing up. Right now, in this part, in chat, they were all like, fucking Magic, their own team. Go to heals! Fucking Magic, you know. Well, you have to write it differently, right? Because there is censorship in the chat. But they're like, Magic, you are trash. You're not doing anything. And she was not going for heals. Here there is a bit of an error. Wanda surprises us and not... My teammates were not focusing on attacking her. Look, I'm the only one. I even tried to ult like, come on, you only need to... Yeah. But I charge in once more. The Wanda, right? You have to do something to stop Wanda as fast as possible in that situation. Moon Knight, I guess he didn't do the ult well, like usual. It's Moon Knight, he's also not very skilled. Moon Knight and Magic. It's been a while since I have killed Moon Knight so many times in a single match. So we continue. Usually the skilled Moon Knight, he does the double jump and flies away, or uses the hook and flies away as well. But this Moon Knight, always off position as well. Here, Magic does the ult, goes Dark Child or Flank Child, but gets destroyed. We are protected by the probe, but that was a bit of a... It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I wonder if that could be considered like a wasted ult, because he deployed this due to magic going Dark Child, right? She does the ult. Look, she does the ult. Be- but we were destroying her so much. Like Dino and I were on magic completely. I think there was a wasted ult on the part of a Rocket, but like I said, he was not like the most skilled healer, so it was difficult to tell for him. Only like the most superb, like a champion Rocket could have identified that magic was going to be easily killed by Dino and me, Dino and I. Here we're pushing for the vehicle, and here I notice we are so close to the finishing line. So I need to push as long as they heal me. I ask for heals, but I'm like, oh no! I know! But the vehicle made it just in time.
2, 2, 1.
We won despite having only 5 people. 5 people against 6. We won due to the power of friendship, the power of the true good vibes. Optimus Prime was exceptional as both Spider-Man and Iron Man. Iron Man against Wanda, that is an achievement by itself. Okay, but here... some closing thoughts. Blood is now in a... how you say, unlucky position. He decided to throw the match just because they pushed 1 point. Who does that? Who does that? This is a convoy mission. And we managed to stop them at 1 point. If it was 3 points, it's still not an excuse to throw. But you would somewhat understand why the thrower, the weak-willed individual, would throw the match at that point, right? Maybe there are some situations where everybody is just doing abysmal when perhaps they choose to surrender, right? But this guy, just 1 point, and he was like, this was terrible, and he quits. Fucking piece of shit. But we decided to keep on fighting together. And on their part, they were, unfortunately, with a very mediocre magic. The tank... it could also have been on the part of the tank. Look, block damage, 17,000. This tank wasn't blocking as much. For example, I blocked the least amount of damage, in my case, Dino, with his shield and just throwing himself in there, sometimes too recklessly. Still very, I would say, much better than the average Dino. There are so many Dino players that take off angles all the time. I don't know what they are thinking. They think that they are very sneaky as a huge Dino. They go through the tunnels, through the balconies, and they wait at the last moment, and they jump in the middle of the enemies, and they die because not only is the enemy going to focus fire on them, but the team has been destroyed because they didn't have a Dino to protect them. But yeah, this magic refused to swap to heals. And here we see another interesting nuance of the EOMM, which is this game obviously has. You're going to see people, no, this game has no EOMM. You know who says that? People that take advantage of the EOMM. Terrible players, unskilled players that get carried because they got placed into the team with the more skilled players. They're usually the throwers, they're usually the Dingle, Bowie, and the Blood. Even though Blood was doing really good. So, what a loser, right? What a loser. But like I said, take a look at that contrast. On our team, we had DPS that wouldn't be healers at the start. In their team, they had a DPS that wouldn't be healer, period. No healer. No second healer for the enemy team. What gave us the victory? Because both this guy, the one that wanted to play as Blade, decided to put the needs of the team before his own needs. He was more skilled as Blade, but he decided to, I'm going to heal, because we have a champion thing. We have a quad father, that a Dino. Dino is very valuable as a tank. We had a champion Spider-Man, and Joe Mama was champion. Wow, I just noticed. Champion Rocket. That's... I mean Lord. We have Lord Spidey and Lord Rocket, not champions. It would have been better if it was a champion healer, but you can't always have that. So both admirable player. He did his best to be an exceptional healer. And I think that by the end of this game, he is closer to becoming an amazing healer. Joe Mama, he's pretty close to it, right? Just a few moments like, oh, the probe was placed incorrectly, or, oh, Joe Mama, you should have placed the resurrection thing closer, etc. But overall, we managed to triumph five players against 6 because we trusted the power of friendship and the good vibes. And Vlad now, like I said, he's going to get penalized for throwing the match. He got reported for throwing the match. And he lost the valuable skill of working with other people. What father, if he's actually a father of 4? It's obvious that he knows the value of working together as a family. Because when you're a team, you're a bit like a temporary family, right? The game family, the game fam. So yes, the power of good vibes wins over toxicity. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and entertaining. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button. Wait a minute, like, subscribe, comment. I just noticed. I actually... What? I actually have 70% accuracy. Only Dagger was as accurate as me. That's rare, because the thing, sometimes you cannot be as accurate. That's very surprising, because you're punching left and right. But yeah. Definitely, like I said, take a look at the description, the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar. And remember, level up in game and level up in life. If you want tips and advice on how to play Marvel Rivals, take a look at my guides in the description of this video and the pinned comment. It's going to teach you everything. It's going to take you from beginner to pro. So once again, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening, day, wherever you are. See you later.